Look, man, I get it. You're broke, but you don't want to join the loser club of Kias, Hyundais, Toyota Camrys. You don't want that because deep down you're a car guy. You're just a car guy with no money. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 10 cars at price points of $1 through $10,000 so that you can get a car that's not complete garbage. But what I can promise is that it'll be better than a Kia Soul. And that's all that really matters. We're also going to be looking at cars that are not commonly talked about by idealists and other car suggestion videos that try to navigate you of what cars you should buy. I'm going to do a better job than that, alright? So, first up, let's dive right in. Ever heard of a show called Fast and the Furious? Ever heard of a car like, I don't know, a Toyota freaking Supra? Did you immediately take the Auto Tempest afterwards and find absolutely insanely inflated prices for them and let your own desires for them die? Well, I have good news for you. Actually, I have two good news for you. First, I'm not sponsored by Auto Tempest. And second, this one can be found for just $1,000 if you look hard enough. And you can get that $1,000 with just a few donations of plasma. Just give your bodily fluids away and boom, you have a car. Boom. That's like the best deal that you can possibly get. Donate your bodily fluids and get a car for it. Now, this car isn't the really cool Supra that everyone loves. It's not the Mach 4 Supra. It's not the Mach 5 Supra. And it's not the Mach 1 or Mach 2 Supra. Those aren't even really car models. Those are just option packages. And that really only leaves one option. It's the Mark 3 Supra with the 7 MGTE inline 6. Now, I know that's not the 1JZ or the 2JZ or the 1UZ that has all the aftermarket support. But hey, there are a few things for the 7 MGTE. Plus, it's not an oversaturated platform. At least not yet. But these things are getting more popular and they're growing and the community for them is also growing. I would snatch one of these up now while they're still really cheap. You can even find one with a turbocharged engine. Now, probably not for $1,000, but if you look hard enough, you probably can find one if you're willing to spend a little bit extra more money. However, for the $1,000 price point, you're not going to probably be able to find one that is in perfect condition. It's definitely going to have issues, probably a lot of issues, and definitely a lot of rust and bondo. But hey, you can have an insanely cool JDM Legend for just $1K. That's a pretty sweet deal. Next up on the list is something that's really cool and really, really easy to find at this price point. And it won't be completely rusted out and bottomed out. And please just hear me out first. It's the Mazda Protege 5. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but basically looks like a family wagon, all right? It looks like something that your grandma would drive. But it's got a 5-speed manual and a 2-liter inline-4 pushing out 130 horsepower and 135 foot-pound of torque. And I know what you're saying. A Mini Cooper makes more power than that. But before you flame me, you asked for realistic cars that are under 10 grand. This one runs and drives. It's got a manual transmission. It's Japanese, so it's gonna be reliable. It's made by Mazda and it shares a lot of similarities with the Miata. Plus, you get extra space for hauling kids and luggage. This is like the ultimate car for taking 5 drunk boys and taking turns driving as fast as you can running from the cops. I'm not advising that, but I'm saying you could do that if you really wanted to. And I'm not saying that I've done that. I'm just saying that if someone wanted to that looked like me, they really could, really easily. But if you want a sport wagon, there is absolutely no better way to go at this price point. All right, next up on the list is the number 3, which is the Oldsmobile Alero GX. Now, I surprised myself when I put an Oldsmobile on here because aside from the classic Oldsmobiles like the Cutlass Supreme, I'm not an Oldsmobile guy. It's definitely an acquired taste, but it kind of looks like the poor man's American S14. So for $3K, you can get a car that, and some people would say it looks cool when done right. I don't know if those are the words I would use, but it comes with a V6, the first V6 on the list, pumping out 170 horses to the front wheels. So this car would be one of the last Oldsmobile models actually to be produced before they went down. And I mean, just look at it. You can tell why it went down. Would I buy this car? Sure. Maybe if I didn't care about wasting my money, but if maybe making a knockoff Sylvia is your thing, sure, have at it. I had to put it on the list because it's weird, right? Like, you don't find these Alero GXs just out on the roads. And if you do, a grandma's driving them, not some 20-year-old with their vape and cigarette. So, number 4, we are finally starting off to have some freedom with our budget. You are finally able to stretch your arms and call other people on Instagram poor, like a typical hater in the comments. So now you have $4 grand to blow on a car. You're a big dog. Everyone knows. You watch Andrew Tate. You watch the Luxury Life videos, and you've escaped the Matrix. Good for you. Now it's time for one of my personal favorites on the list, and Andrew Tate would agree. The car I'm talking about is the E46 BMW. And no, I'm not talking about the sedan or the coupe that are often talked about. I'm talking about the wagon. Now, these are a bit more rare, but they're also typically less riced out than the other E46 coupe and the E46 sedan. Now, they're still going to be a project car. They're still going to take some work from you, and you're still not going to find one in mint condition. However, a lot of times these cars are still sometimes driven by old dads and white moms. So you have a chance to find a car that hasn't been abused with a manual. That's a Beamer. That's insane. Plus, wagons are one of the coolest body style. Like, I will die on that hill. I want. This is one of the cars that I'm going to buy one day. It's not like I might buy this or I want to buy it. I'm going to get this car one day. And I'm sorry for putting another wagon on the list, but it's probably my favorite wagon, tied with the Volvo 240 in second place to the Nissan Stagea, but we didn't get that in the States. I want one of those one day too. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. This is the perfect platform for slidey boys and go fast and stance boys. It's got stuff for all of them. There are parts for all of it. There are aftermarket support for all of it. People have done everything you can imagine to this car. And let's be real, you're not going to do anything new to this car if you're watching this video. And with only 3,500 pounds, it comes with a 5-speed manual transmission. It has an M54 B25 inline 6, delivering a whopping 192 horsepower and 245 newton meters of torque to the rear wheels. This is a car that is definitely for you. You can probably weld the diff, drift it the day after you get it. But would I recommend drifting it with a welded diff that your buddy did for free? Probably not. However, you can do it. And I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm just telling you how I would probably live your life. This car is amazing, but it also kind of looks weird unless you're a real car enthusiast and not a clout chaser. If you're a clout chaser, this car is not for you, so keep scrolling. Next up is a car from a company I always look down on. I even dissed them in the very start of this video, right? This is not a car that anyone would think of as cool, except some people might be thinking that they're acceptable now, that they're starting their whole N-Power thing, and if that's not a dead giveaway, it's a Hyundai. It's the Hyundai Tiburon. Now, if you've ever scrolled on Marketplace, you've probably seen something like this. And if you're anything like me, you're like, dang, that's lame, and slow, and ugly, and it's easy to steal. Well, it's probably still easy to steal, but actually, I kind of think they look kind of good for 5K. And the Tiburon is the Spanish word for shark. And whether or not this car looks like a shark is up to you. I personally think it looks like a weird-looking pufferfish. But I guess it comes with an i4 or a V6. But you're going to want the V6 with the 5-speed manual, which puts down 172 horsepower from the 2.7-liter transverse V6. I don't think I'd buy this car, but if you want something a bit more reliable, a bit newer, this car is for you. They can be found all day for this price point. I'd definitely get one for around 5K, not cheaper. You're going to be dealing with a whole lot of issues. It is Hyundai. All right, next up on the list is something near and dear to my heart. This is a car that I almost bought instead of the C5. Anyway, this is the C4 Corvette. A little bit of American muscle on this list. The only American muscle we're going to have on this list. The C4 is so cool. It's like the epitome of a car from the 80s. You think 80s, you think this car. It looks like it's from a video game. It's got the coolest pop-up headlights in the world. I'll die on that hill. It actually has the sickest pop-up headlights ever. And it looks like it belongs in a synthwave video. It looks like it belongs in a synthwave movie so much that some guy actually made a synthwave tribute to it. And I highly recommend you watch it. But not until you're done watching this video. Alright, it features engineering and technology that made it an absolute monster on the track back in the 80s and the 90s. And all this stuff was like way ahead of its time, which made it really quirky and kind of unreliable. It had a double wishbone suspension like modern day supercars do. And now you're going to want to try and find a twin port injection motor paired with a 6-speed manual. You're going to want to avoid the 4+3 manuals and the automatics. Just stay away from those. The automatics don't handle power that good. And then the 4+3 manuals are just weird and quirky. Just get the 6-speed manual. just get the 6-speed. Don't mess with anything else. Now, a LT98 tuned port injection with a 6-speed manual is going to be really rare, and this configuration is probably made in less than 10% of the base models. And that's actually why I gave up on trying to find the C4, just because I could not find one in my price point when I was looking near enough to me where I wanted to buy it. But after looking, there's some scattered around in other places that aren't necessarily in my home state or hometown. But you can definitely find them. You're just going to have to double down and do some looking. But this specific LT98 Chevy 350 motor delivers a 230 horsepower to the rear wheels, or 5.7 liters of displacement. You get 230 horsepower. Good job, GM. This car easily hit 150 miles per hour, and it sounds and looks fantastic doing it, especially if you just cut off those mufflers or do what any reasonable person would do and actually get a full exhaust for it. Just get one while you can, all right? Because later there's going to be a classic. You're just going to be kicking yourself in the foot for when you regret not buying them because they were always everywhere for cheap. Anyway, next up is number 7, and it's an all-wheel drive car, the first all-wheel drive car for my rally wannabes. If you want to be like Ken Block and you want to fall off Pikes Peak, this car is definitely for you. It's like a car you wouldn't expect to find on this list. And that's not a car I expected to find on this list. The only car that surprised me more on this list was the Alero GX. This car, don't flame me for it. It's a Subaru Baja Turbo. Now, I know it looks like a Chevy Avalanche shrunk down into your grandma's compact Wally car. I don't know what I'm saying there. But it looks awful. Okay, it looks like you're a gay woman. Now, if you're a gay woman, I mean that with the utmost disrespect. So, before you flame me for these completely, which would be, I'll actually take some flaming for this because I deserve the flaming for it. But before you flame me completely, it has a turbocharged 2.5 liter flat 4 found in the WRXs. It also has a small bed for practicality. So like you want to throw in a couch, start doing some couch flipping while you run through the Mexican desert. Bro, you can do that. You basically get a WRX with a tiny little bed and horrible looks. I don't know what they were thinking when they designed this, but hey, somebody designed it and they were probably a gay woman. But if you can swallow its looks and brace yourself for how many times Chevy owners like myself are going to call you gay, like you've already been called gay for like 4 times already, then you have a unique and super cheap rally car option with basically the same platform as a WRX. Well, I'm not going to say the same platform. The same engine. Basically, everything else is different. But hey, you still have an amazing potential for a rally car that no one else has. Maybe there's a reason for that. But still, on top of all that, no cloud-loving teenagers look at these and say, heck yeah, I can't wait to finance that for $0 down and 25% APR and abuse it. Most of the time, the queer white women own these. So, you're getting a great car that hasn't been abused. Alright, number 8 is a German exotic. But it comes wrapped with the character of a Miata. You might be saying, what the heck? You're probably thinking it's another BMW, like a Z4, Z3. No, it's not BMW Z4, Z3. It's actually something much cooler than that, even though it gets way too much hate than it deserves. And no one gives it the appreciation it deserves. They give the newer models the appreciation that it deserves, but everyone looks down on this, calls it ugly, and calls it a poor wannabe Porsche. That's not why you're buying this. Oh yeah, I just think it's a Porsche. So you probably know it's either the 987 Boxster or the 944, and it's not the 944. It's a 987 Boxster S. You want the S. These cars get so much hate, mostly for their A-shaped headlights, and I can understand that, all right? I really do. But Sally had these headlights. Come on, man. It's basically a 911 with the not as big of an engine, but it's a mid-engine this time. They put it in the mid. So you're getting basically a mid-engine supercar. Don't say that to anyone online because you get so much hate for it. But tell it to yourself. Tell it to your heart. Make your ego feel better. Honestly, these are great cars. They have one of the most active racing cups in America right now. They have a flat 4 that makes 272 horsepower, puts it to the rear wheels. All that's right behind you. It handles like a dream, handles better than a Miata, gets amazing German looks. It's reliable. It's the cheapest mid-engine car probably in the world aside from the Fiero MR2 or the Japanese K cars. Dude, this is one of the most slept-on cars right now, and you can get a clean one for $8K. I don't know how much I need to drill this into you. Get past the hate. If you're going to be a car guy, especially if you're going to be a cheap car guy, you cannot buy cars based off what other people think. Get this car because it's amazing. This is another car. If I have the time and I have the money, after the E46 wagon, this would be the next car I would get. I kid you not. Regardless of this list, I put this on here because of personal preference, all right? And I get so much hate for glazing this car, but it's definitely worth the glaze. It might be a more capable track car than the C5 is, all right? It's that good. It's got everything. It shares so many similarities with the GT3 and 911 Turbo S, and it's a fraction of the price. And hey, you say you want a GT3 for a fraction of the price? Get rid of that flat 4, put the flat 6 in from the GT3, and you have yourself a budget GT3 with a soft top. I know some people hate that, but just keep it down, and you'll never think about it. And you'll be like, oh man, I'm the coolest guy. I got sexy blonde hair running through the wind. All the chicks love me. No, girls actually might like you for this because they don't know enough about cars to know that this is an old, cheap Porsche. They might just think it's an old classic Porsche. So you can convince them and say that, trick them into thinking that you're a billionaire, but then reveal that as soon as you go to McDonald's. But hey, this is still an amazing car. I will not stop glazing it. Get it while you can, because people like me are going to make the prices go up. Get the Porsche Boxster S. Don't skip on the S. And don't get an automatic. I will disown you if you get an automatic. Do not do it. All right, number 9. Number 999. Rest in peace, Juice WRLD. All right, what if I told you could drive an Italian sport sedan that wasn't a Maserati, and it was praised for Jeremy Clarkson for how well it handles for just $9K? You might be saying I'm crazy, that it's flooded, that's got a rebuilt title, or you already know what I'm going to say, and it's an Alfa Romeo Giulia. I have no idea if that's how you say it, but I'm going to say it that way, Giulia. Now, you'll have to do some looking to find some at this price, but I found some in Kansas, in the ghetto, for $9K. Now, they were actually relatively clean, and you're not going to be getting the V6 that everyone glazes about with these cars. You're going to be getting a 280 horsepower 8-speed automatic with an impressive top speed of about 150 miles per hour. So I suppose if you're a bit more lame and you want something your wife or girlfriend would actually really love and probably get you laid, definitely get a Alfa Romeo Giulia. But if you're a good Christian upstanding man, you'll know that it's not about that at all, and really you shouldn't focus on that at all. All right, moving on. Number 10 is our last car, the Pontiac GTO. It's basically the Corvette sedan. It's the final send-off from Pontiac that has an LS freaking 2 with a V8 pumping about 400 horsepower to its 6-liter from a 6-liter power plant, delivering all that American freedom to the wheels. You can do burnouts all day. You can scream like a bald eagle. You can be proud that you're not a German or Japanese drifty boy, and you can be proud that you drive something that Uncle Sam would approve of, and you'll be supporting your army and your country. No, you won't. And those tax dollars will definitely go to building new roads. No, they won't. But you'll be driving an amazing American car, an amazing engine. Honestly, I'm jealous of this engine. I wish I had this engine in my Corvette. It's basically a Corvette, but better, with more seats. So you can actually put your kids in harm's way too if you want to cruise at 150 down the freeway with them in the back. You can do that. I wouldn't recommend it. You probably have to drug your wife or girlfriend first and make her not awake. But if you are willing to do that, this car is definitely for you. Beautiful car. Well, yeah, it is. I don't care what you say. Beautiful car. Beautiful power. American. Love it. So, if you managed to make it to the end and dealt with all my annoying opinions, feel like it, you know, like feel like escaping the Matrix a little bit, feel like not being a mindless zombie for once in your life, you can hit that subscribe button. I do not care what you say. 987 Boxster S all the way. All right, thank you guys. Love you all. Have a blessed day. Bye.